Well, welcome everybody to the inaugural episode of MEC Unplugged. If you are an older millennial like Christy and I are, or you're a Gen Xer, I guess they call us Zennials now. I'm not exactly sure what we're called, but you'll remember the the series called MTV Unplugged, and this is a little bit of a riff on that. I was telling Christy as we were preparing for this, I was driving home from the store like a week or so ago, and this like lightning bolt hit me with this idea. So here we are with Christy Bradshaw Iverson, one of the top real estate agents in the entire Charlotte metro area. And Christy's our first guest on MEC Unplugged. Welcome, Christy. I'm happy to have you here.
I'm so honored. Thank you.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. We're here to talk about difficult conversations with sellers. And this is the number one topic that comes up on coaching calls for us right now. And you're doing a fantastic job. Before we share with the folks what you're doing that's causing you to be so successful at seller conversations, let's just rewind a little bit. Let's go back to like 12 to 18 months ago, early 2025 into that spring season. How were you handling seller conversations then? And then that'll tell us kind of the through line into where we are right now.
So I think 12 to 18 months ago, we were moving from a very different market than what we're seeing now. And I just think it was easier to not have hard conversations because the market would allow it. But I was not saying what I really thought. I was stumbling over being honest and not wanting to hurt sellers' feelings and just sort of leaning into my people pleaser nature and just really having a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. And I'm sure others that are watching this can relate to that as well. You know, most good salespeople tend to be people pleasers. So say a little bit more about how maybe that, was a superpower that suddenly wasn't a superpower for you.
Yeah, I think when times are easy, especially on the listing side of things, the 3 to 4 years of, just amazing times that we had, RIP. um, it catered to those who, like me, salespeople, love to deliver the good news, be the hero, got, 5 contracts on your house. And so that was really, really, really good. And last year, when our market, especially here in Charlotte, just started to change pretty quickly, it became so hard for me to really convey with my words what I felt. And I just, it was tough.
Yeah. And I was with you in those conversations, and we're obviously going to get to the way that you're doing things now and just blowing the doors off of it. But let's hang a little bit in that era a year and a half ago, and say more about like, it cost you some listings, it cost you some marketing dollars, it cost you some staging dollars. Like there was some financial pain that came as a result of that as well.
That's right. Well, and truly a case study that I have like right now, I actually had this same listing last year. About 12 months ago this time. We came out the gate about $50,000 more than what we are now. We didn't do the hard work of getting the listing truly move-in ready because in our market here, it won't tolerate anything less. And so the conversation that I had with these same sellers was very different. I'm like, I think we can do this, and let's price here, and I think that this will be okay. I knew it wasn't okay. I just wasn't sure if it would be enough to move the needle and get us an offer. And about 2 months after that, last spring, they ended up withdrawing it, pulling it off the market, the painting, all the things that we do, the marketing up front. I lost that money. They decided to rent it. And then here we are again. We had a redo. So we just went on the market last Friday, different price, different strategy. I said the hard things, and it's looking really good. So it's just, real time, doing different things, having different conversations, and just leaning into the discomfort that I have of, hurting people's feelings.
I get that. If you had to guess, how much money, like in real dollars, ballpark number's fine. How much money did being a little bit too nice or maybe not saying what you really wanted to say, how much has that cost you in the past? Let's keep it in this like 12 to 18 months. But if you want to zoom out further, then you're welcome to do that as well. How much do you think it's actually cost you?
I'd say no less than $25,000.
Right.
maybe more.
So there was a turning point where you decided, and you told me this in one of our coaching calls, like we got to do something different now.
Mm.
But could you describe to me maybe what was happening in that period and what that turning point was for you?
It was an aha moment, truly. I was just listening to some of the other agents around us, some of our the other agents that you coach, and I was just listening to them. They're direct, and again, everyone's wired differently. But I was, listening to some of these other top agents, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, largely, they do not have a problem saying it like it is. They're very direct. And like, I just had this feeling, I'm like, that's what's holding me back. Like, that is the edge that I'm missing. That's the piece of the puzzle, I think, that's keeping me from being, the agent that I can be. We're all, like I said, we're wired differently, but I just have never leaned into hard conversations heavily. And I just decided that I don't want to be weak. I have enough experience to say the things that need to be said, to do the research, to really feel confident in what I'm saying and the advice that they're paying me to give them. And
Right.
so that's when you and I just started really working with what does that sound like? Um, and I think one of the things that I'm so glad that we talked about is that it is going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be a muscle that you've not worked before. And, I'm so high I, like off the charts I, that it is a little bit weird because I think a lot of team leaders and other agents are truly wired differently. But, just knowing that this is going to be different, like this is going to hurt a little bit. We're going to have to practice this. And so I think just knowing that it was going to be uncomfortable and not fun and doing it anyway, it would, that was really helpful.
What what did it feel like the first time you were getting ready to have one of these direct, difficult but honest conversations with a seller?
It's so crazy. Like it was physical. Like I felt nervous, and I'm not a nervous person. I felt uncomfortable, a little bit, just anxiety. It was forcing myself out of who I'm, how I've been wired and what I've, basically what I've gotten away with over the last 19, 20 years in real estate. Like I felt anxious.
What shifted during that period in how you saw your role as a listing agent, as a real estate advisor? What changed during that period for you?
My confidence, I think I did it once. They listened, it worked. Once again, hey, I really think that I know $5,000 is a lot to spend on carpet, but we got to do it. We got to do it. Let's make it up on the back end when we get multiple offers, when we price it right. And just seeing that it wasn't as hard as I thought because they hire us for a reason. And I think pricing as well, the way that I presented it, it was working. And I think like I saw that happen time after time, after time. And it changed something in me. Not just with real estate, but just, relationally, just to have it, like, it's okay to be kind and still say what we think. And so it really did start changing a lot, but it certainly started changing my numbers and the business and, the way that things were selling faster. So it changed everything.
Say a little more. I love the line that you just gave us about being kind and still saying what you think. How do you thread that needle?
One of the speakers that I met through you, he had actually said, Jake Lure's, something that really stuck out to me. And actually, I think it was in one of his emails, but it just was one of those things that resonated. And it was our goal, or should be a compassionate truth teller. And I just locked in on that. Because I am compassionate, I am kind, but we really do need to tell the truth. And I feel like I try to use that as the backdrop to a lot of these hard conversations. Sellers can be very, I mean, obviously very proud of their homes. And, so I never wanted to hurt anyone's feelings or, let's take this furniture out and bring in some new staging. But, we
Yeah.
can be compassionate, we can be kind, we can be complimentary, but we need to tell the truth. And it's unkind not to. And that's one of the things that he said. And I think that that's been so helpful to me because I don't have to change what I love about myself and what's good, which is that I'm, nice, and that I want to do a good job and I want to be liked, but I can also, I can use my market knowledge and I can say the things that need to be said. So I think about that all the time.
Yeah, it's a great example. And we've seen people and this is not unique to real estate, this is any industry, when they hear something like this, they're like, all right, great, this is my permission to go be an asshole. And that's not what we're saying here. What we're saying here is to be kind and direct at the same time. What would be an example of a kind and direct conversation? Let's say I'm a seller and I give you the old, like, I'm going to make up some numbers right now. You think my house is worth $700,000, but I want to start at 775 to test the market and give myself room to negotiate. And, my house is a little better than my neighbors because of X, Y, and Z, and whatever else a seller may say, right or wrong, may say to justify that. But let's say I'm overpriced. I'm trying to convince you to let me overprice. What do you say?
Well, first I ask them where are you getting the numbers? Because I want to hear, where that data is coming from. And, most of that, well, a year ago, my neighbor down the street. So I do ask them where those numbers are coming from and how that, how they arrived at that. And then, depending on how they answer, one of the most challenging things about our market right now is that we cannot look back. Like the numbers of the past, even 60 to 90 days, they become irrelevant so quickly. So we need to look at what's on the market right now. And the more aggressive that we price, the better we set up ourselves through the entire contract process. We'll flip to be the to have the advantage during the due diligence process, during repairs, during negotiations. So I try to, hear what they're saying, see where they're getting their numbers, show them more accurate numbers, try to get them to price, 3 to 5% lower than what we're looking at. And I give them case studies of the listings that I've just had, the examples that I've had in real time to show them that the market, it just, it will punish you for overpricing and it won't let you underprice. So, and that's what you've said, and it is definitely true.
So, Christy, I'm going to brag on you for just a second. Not only have you made these changes, but you've also gotten tremendous results from that. I was looking at some numbers just prior to us recording this, and I'm sure you already know this. Just in the first 5.5 months of this year, you've already done almost as much business as you did in all of last year. And these are big numbers too. So I know you would be too humble to say that, so I'm going to say that on your behalf. But the question is this. What is it that's caused you to be so successful through the first 6 months of this year, specifically on the seller side? Obviously, it's these conversations, but tell me a little bit more how that's contributed to your success.
So definitely the conversation piece and just trying to be a better leader. And I think having the market stats is huge. When you walk into a listing appointment and you sound wise, you know what's going on. That will have a seller much more willing to trust what you're going to say when you know what's going on. So I think that has been huge. Definitely my assistant and I have been we're trying to get back to the basics of email, sending out consistent 2 times a month emails. We're doing events, giveaways, just the things that we didn't really have to do, in the when the market was different, but just trying to get really consistent with those things, the follow up. We have been so busy that there are so many things that I haven't been able to do I just don't have the bandwidth that I'm working on. But I would just say the consistency in email, in follow up, and just having those conversations has been huge. So we haven't really changed. I haven't bought any different CRM or there's nothing revolutionary that's happened. It's just being more consistent and just having these conversations and having them be a lot more just a lot more tip of the tongue.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, it's like we talk about all the time. There's a significant difference in listing a house and selling a house. And the conversations that you're having are leading to getting the houses sold, even if it's the tough news to deliver to the seller. So that's why this year your business is almost double what it was last year by this time. So congrats on that.
I also, I am literally no longer running from hard conversations within the team. Allie, um, you know, we need to talk about this. Let's talk about this now. Let's fix it. Not a big deal. I would say we're not saving lives. It's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But it is so easy to gloss over even the small things. But it's just such a better, it's probably the way that most people have lived their lives, but I haven't because I've been scared of, you know, disappointing everyone. So it's just interesting. Everything's more pure. The business relationship, um, interpersonal relationships are just so much better when you're honest.
So, Christy, I know you had a weekend a while back where you had a handful of different listing appointments. Some of them went well, and some of them maybe not so well. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I was in my trial phase. I was really trying some of these hard conversations to see what stuck, but I got a little overzealous and I was like, let's just knock this out. And anyways, it was a few months ago. Actually, no, probably about 4 months ago. I had three uh, very nice luxury listings coming to the market right about the same time. So my listing appointments were truly days apart, and I just really leaned into market data, pricing aggressively, um, you know, trying to be within the top third of condition, bottom third of price, just all the things. And I had one seller open to it, and again chose to. And again, at the end of the day, it is their choice. It's their
Sure.
choice. And as long as they're within range, obviously I work for them, and we're going to do that. But I felt very strongly, and I shared with them that I thought that was not the right price, and all the
Mhm.
things. So that one came out the gate. Had another one very similar. Again, shared with them real time pricing, the power of getting it right within the first 10 days. And she was um, definitely more trusting of Chat GPT than me, which is fine. I told
That's a
her
whole other conversation, but yeah,
robots don't buy houses, but that's okay. And
right.
then the third seller was just sent from heaven. She said, if the comps are at 750, I want to price at 699. I want this house sold. I'd love to, get multiples. I said, well, I think we're definitely setting ourselves up for that possibility. It never promised, but you never know. But so three sellers, beautiful homes, great, great communities, and just chose to do different things. And my seller, the third seller that priced under comp significantly, um, ended up getting, I think we had five offers, all of them over asking. We
Mhm.
closed very quickly. Again, some incredibly high due diligence money, which just made the negotiations a breeze. And she got a lease back, just all the things. And just I was just so happy to see how that turned out. So very happy seller. I've got another referral in that neighborhood from her experience. And the other two, again, one of them took a month, multiple price reductions, we're under contract. Um, Not where I think that, I think not what could have happened. The
Mhm.
other one is we've had to, just redo some things. We're going to come out on the market and really shake things up, but just disappointing, like disappointing to them, disappointing to me, lost leverage. And I just feel like we were talking about, you can't underprice a home. It won't, and she got what she wanted, and it's just an example of someone listening. And I'm glad I wouldn't have had that conversation this time last year, and
Mhm.
we would have been spinning our wheels the same way. But it works, and that was pretty cool. So
Yeah, it's super cool. You made a passing comment on this earlier, but I just want to hit it with a highlighter here. In that specific example, the other thing that you did by generating multiple offers and really high due diligence, you flipped the leverage back to the advantage of the seller. And you and I both know what a lot of agents are struggling with right now is holding deals together. The buyers in most markets have the leverage right now. Deals end up falling apart, usually over silly stuff during the due diligence period, or people being too aggressive and negotiating around repair requests, all the things. But what you did in this situation and others like it is you've flipped the leverage back to the seller advantage, which inherently keeps the deal together as well.
It truly sets the stage for a completely different under contract experience. When you've got a large chunk of in our state due diligence money, they're not going to walk away because there's a leaky faucet, and it really does it gives the power back to the seller in so many ways, and it's been huge to get them to the closing table happier and quicker. So I think, and again, that comes from those hard conversations, those pre-listing conversations, and I've been telling them that, like, not only will we have, we'll be increasing buyer demand, just all those good things, but it does help once we get under contract. That's half the battle won right there. And you're right, we are seeing homes come back on the market easily. And if there's no skin in the game for the buyer, they're going to move right along to the next deal.
What did you think was going to happen, or how did you think people were going to respond when you started being a more kind but direct version of yourself?
I thought that they wouldn't like me. That sounds so silly, but I thought that I would disappoint them. And because so much of my business comes from referrals, a lot of them are repeat, and people that I know. And I thought that it would be disappointing to have friction in the
Mhm.
listing appointment from me, when I think that when it really happened, they were relieved.
Okay, so you had said that you felt like maybe you were going to let them down. Maybe it was going to be sort of disappointing to deliver this direct but kind news. But then you said that the sellers were relieved. What types of responses did you actually get from sellers compared to what you thought you were going to get?
The responses were, okay, sounds good. We trust you. You've proven yourself. And I think they are relieved because they want us to be the experts in our field. And I think that, that having those conversations up front does build trust. And I never want to be a Debbie Downer or anything like that. And that's what my fear was. It's just, I'm going to disappoint them. But really, the truth is, we're in a changing market. It can be very good. We can't get it wrong from the jump, and it's been really good. So I was surprised that it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and now look at you. You've built this new muscle, and I know we both know this is a muscle that we're going to need for the foreseeable future.
Mhm.
Unlikely that the market's going to do us any significant favors anytime soon. So this conversation with a seller is one that's going to be happening a lot.
That's right. That's right. And I think if you have the relationship and the trust up front, it does make those conversations a whole lot easier. And also deliver it with a smile.
Yeah,
That helps too.
Christy, this has been fun. Thanks for joining us for the first episode of MEC Unplugged. You're awesome, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.